She was told she had 5 years left to live if the drinking didn't stop. This Is Me by Hayden Panettiere. Audiobook summary and review by StoryShots. An actress trained to cry on command since childhood eventually could not tell her own real tears from the performed ones. That collapse sits at the center of This Is Me, A Reckoning by Hayden Panettiere, a memoir about what happens when a person spends her whole life being watched before she has the chance to become someone. Child fame is not a head start, it is a deficit. Most people assume growing up on camera gives a kid an advantage: early confidence, early skill, early success. This story flips that. Signed to a modeling agency at 8 months old, she was booking commercials before she understood what a career even meant. Learning to cry on demand around age 5 did not build resilience. It built a habit of manufacturing emotion for approval, one that carried into every relationship for decades. Small sadnesses stopped registering, and the stakes had to rise each time just to feel anything at all. Performing feelings before you can distinguish them from your own is not a talent. It is a wound with good ratings. If you have ever performed confidence at work while falling apart privately, you already know that exhausting math. That confusion between performing and feeling did not stay contained to a soundstage. The Lifequake Framework. Adulthood gets organized around what gets called a lifequake, a sudden rupture that cracks identity and forces a rebuild from nothing. Postpartum depression, alcoholism severe enough that doctors warned of 5 years left to live, a domestic violence relationship played out on tabloid front pages, and a younger brother's sudden death in 2023 all count. The framework sounds tidy from the outside. Name the disaster, rebuild after it. But that explanation stops short of showing how rebuilding works when the disasters overlap, when addiction and grief and custody loss hit during the same stretch of months. Naming your pain is not the same as surviving it. It just gives you a word to hold on to while you figure out the rest. If your own hardest years never arrived one at a time, you already sense the gap in that framework. The line she refuses to cross. Here is what breaks the pattern. The memoir opens with an explicit refusal to blame a mother or a daughter's father for any of her own choices. Given a mother described as withholding and volatile, and a custody battle that cost years with a child, that refusal is almost unnatural. It reframes the entire Lifequake framework. The rebuilding was never about identifying who caused the damage. It was about deciding what still belonged to her alone. Self-knowledge is not built from other people's guilt. It is assembled from what you choose to carry alone. That single decision, to blame no one, is either the most mature act in the book or the beginning of a much harder question about what it costs to carry everything yourself. If this changed how you think about fame, motherhood, or starting over, someone in your life would probably value hearing this story too. Final summary. This summary of This Is Me, A Reckoning threads 3 ideas together. Fame warped a sense of self before one fully existed. Repeated lifequakes shattered that self in adulthood, and a refusal to blame anyone else became the unresolved engine driving the rebuild. Missing here are the full account of the relationship with Vladimir Klitschko and the custody decision that followed, the domestic violence chapters involving Brian Hickerson, and the moment Hayden Panettiere first names her bisexuality in Chapter 7. Anyone who has watched a public image collapse into private crisis, or anyone rebuilding after addiction or loss, will find this one worth sitting with. We're putting together the full summary of This Is Me right now with an infographic and animated video. Follow the book in the StoryShots app to get it the moment it's ready.